Like with Bruno, I'll be real. Nah. Like as in Bruno has grown on me. I'll be honest. Like in the past year, like
He's got better,
I
right?
actually,
You think Ten Hag's improved him as well? Yeah.
yeah, nah.
Yeah.
I think like if anything, like I think last year, funny enough, like his GA wasn't amazing, but I think last year was his best season in my eyes. Like even when you look at the first season when he hit, I think it was like double digit goals, double digit assists. Yeah, like last year Bruno done his job. And the thing is, like I understand people have question marks, and I've always said like Mount is like a similar version to Bruno, but just not as good of a passer or as good of a creator in the final third year. But I think Mount. So I think when you put Mount and Bruno together, I think Ten Hag has realized that when it comes to Bruno, Bruno isn't the most efficient in possession, which means at times he might surrender the ball because he's like a very aggressive chance creator. Like I always say this, Bruno is a very aggressive chance creator. That's why he creates so many chances. But at the same time, it comes at the cost of possession sometimes. But I think when you partner him up with a player that can like retrieve possession ASAP in Mount, because Mount off the ball, whether even if it was this season, like in his worst ever season, Mount off the ball is very good. Like he will retrieve possession, he will put in a shift. As long as Man United can get possession back ASAP and create the opportunities, which Bruno has shown. Bruno has shown like single-handedly, one-man show. I will create chances for the player on the left, for the player on the right, because he done it this season. Like he put it on plates for Martial, Sancho, Anthony. Where I agree with you, man, is now the focus should be on the attacking players. And I've always maintained, I feel like United have a winger problem that isn't spoken about because our wingers are shit. Like, let's be real. It's just they're good, big, fancy names, but we're all now on the same page. Them man don't score goals. Sweet. If you man don't score goals, what you bring into the table? Because we're going to get the creativity from the center. We're going to get the pressing from the center. We're going to get the ball progression from the center. You man put the ball into the back of the net. But Rashford scored more than 50% of our goals last year, whilst man them were missing one-on-ones.
I hear you to
nothing but facts.
I hear you
bro.
to an extent.
On the Bruno Fernandes situation, bro. Honestly, he's started to play more deep in it. He started to play more deep under this manager for whatever reason. Maybe because I think that the manager doesn't have the profile of player that he wants in there, innit? And he knows that Bruno's energy is going to give him that. So I think that towards the latter end of this season, I think that is, you're right. I believe it's some of the best football he's played at the club, even though he wasn't scoring goals or getting assists. I agree with that. But that was only because, in my opinion, he was giving the ball away less than he usually does. And to me, that's a massive improvement for him because on the ball, yeah, he's absolutely catastrophic, bruv. So it's one of them ones where when you said aggressive chance creator, I agree to a certain extent, but I don't like how people quantify what an actual chance is in football, innit? Because every time he gets the ball, he's trying to get rid of it, bro. It's almost like it's a grenade. So it's one of them things where a lot of the time he gets the ball and he puts it into areas where people are kind of present in it, and then they've still got work to do. So when he was playing deeper and he was playing a shorter game, I thought he was a lot more effective for the team. Do you know what I mean? So I liked him in that position. I don't like him in that position long term, but I do believe, as you said, even without the goals and assists, I think that's the best football that he's played for us. But I still, bro, I just don't think that there's a lot of quality attached to it, bro. I can't lie. I think it's great for what we needed him to do, filling in for Eriksen in that deeper role. But I don't know, bro. Like, higher up the pitch, I just don't believe he's the answer, innit? I don't believe he's the partner.
Middle of the pitch, deeper of the pitch. He's good at times. He was more disciplined this season. That's why I think he was better. Like you mentioned, him giving the ball away less. But for where we're trying to go, is he it? No. Is Bruno a level us up? Because people like to throw that out and say, oh, well, how do we look without him? We haven't seen Manchester United consistently without him. People will take one game and say, oh, look, that's how much we miss him. And because he doesn't get injured, and to his credit, he's always available. We rarely see that. We've not seen. When's the last time? I don't think in the entire time he's been here.
Only one time. I think only one time we didn't have him because he got suspended in the Europa League or something like that.
But because he missed a couple games. But the point I'm making is we've never had a 3, 4, 5 game run without him, just to see how we look. I'm not even saying we look better, people. I'm not even saying that. I'm just saying I'd like to see it.
No, but the thing is, we don't have legs in that midfield, so his aggression in terms of like off the ball, even though he's not like a massive ball winner, just the amount that he runs. If we don't have him, like the ground that he covers, similar to what Mount's gonna bring, you miss his presence in midfield more for what he does off the ball than on the ball. Because on the ball, like, I don't rate what he does. Do you know what I mean? So it's one of them ones where I don't know, bro. I think that we have multiple problems, yeah. But if we actually think about the style of football that the manager wants to play, Bruno giving the ball away is probably one of like the least of our problems when you think that the manager doesn't want to play possession football anyway, if that makes sense.
Yeah, 100%, because we're not trying to keep the ball and build.
We're not trying to keep the ball, so I don't think the manager cares too much about the fact that we're not keeping it. I think what the manager cares more about is how quickly can we get the ball back, if that makes sense. And if you've got Mount and Bruno in the team, press. Yeah, in theory, they're meant to get you the ball back quicker. In theory, innit? Because, bro, in theory, everything's easy, innit? Do you know what I mean?
But they do. That's one thing I will credit those two for, is they do off the ball work and they press well. Never ever will you hear me criticize Bruno or Mount for their off the ball attributes and what they give you off the ball. My problem is eventually we're going to be on the ball and you man are going to have to produce something. And in tough games, like giving the ball up to the opposition all the time is not a good idea. Bear in mind, we are playing in the Champions League. So if we do indeed get a tough group, which could happen, that midfield's in trouble. Now, we've seen how bad it was with our midfield at times this season and previous seasons as well. So add those two in the mix, who I think, like I said, I think they're the same profile. Whoever you think's better, different conversation, but they're the same profile. We've seen one not work. So now we got two. But I hope I'm wrong.
Well, it's like I agree with you with the whole Champions League point, bro. But it's like at the end of the day, if you're going to lose possession and win it back straight away, I don't think it's a problem. Like where Man United got ran through midfield, like I remember, like the one game I always remember is like when we went to the Amex and we played Brighton. Bro, man, then we're losing the ball, but we're not winning it back. Yeah, and I think that's where people used to come around and say, like, oh, Eriksen is such a hologram. Like, oh, Casemiro sometimes is positioning this and this and this and this and that. But if you build a trio in midfield, and then especially with like the inverted fullbacks, if you build like a back five or like even your front five with the whole 3-2-5, like if you just build a team that can retrieve possession, where everybody's on the same page, there's a structured press. Personally, like from a preferences point of view, I enjoy the more controlled possession, similar to City. Yeah, it's just more elegant on the eye. But I'll be real: if man are gonna be creating chances or having a very aggressive approach in the final third, and yes, sometimes the ball will go out of play. Sometimes you might give it to a player in the wrong area at the wrong time. We surrender possession, but as long as we're winning it back, I don't think the opposition can do anything. And I think that's what he's favouring at the moment with Bruno and Mount.
Yeah,
I hear that.
That's it.
I hear that. I'm just worried. My concern is they're giving the ball away and then just not getting it back. And not because we're not good enough to win it back, because we're playing. You mentioned Brighton. Brighton are a team who are very good, for example, at keeping the ball. Like I said, I hope you man are right, because I just really know I'm just so against this side, and it reminds me of Ronaldo all over again.
No, bro, listen, I'm with you in it. Like I'm trying to remain balanced, but it's one of them ones that I get it, innit? Tactically, I get what the manager's trying to do, but I just don't think that we don't have the players to do that. Do you know what I mean? We don't have the players to do that. Like, even if you want to play transition football, yeah, why do you sign Anthony? Why do you sign him? Did you get what I'm saying? Because that's
why we linked to Harry Kane. Like, that's what don't make no sense to me.
That is the most pointless signing in football history, yeah. If you want to play transition football, blood, because people can say, cool, Sancho don't suit transition football. He doesn't, but the manager didn't sign Jadon Sancho. But then you go and sign Anthony, yeah, who is similar in profile to Sancho in the sense that they're going to invert. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, they're not, they would rather come to the ball than go in behind. Like, if you want to play transition football, then you want players that are going to run away from the ball. You want more players like Rashford, more players like Garnacho. Like, you don't sign players like Anthony. Anthony seems like a stupid signing, yeah, if you want to play transition football. And this is my problem with what the manager's doing. And then we're getting linked with Harry Kane, but before we got linked with Nunes and Osimhen, who are run away from the ball players. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, bro, we shouldn't be linked with Harry Kane if we want to play transition football, because he's not a transition player. And this is my biggest problem with everything, blood. It's my biggest problem. Like, it seems like there's no plan.